Welcome to the Kellie Kitchen. How are you guys? Just the 100th edition of quarantine cooking. I hope you guys are well. We have a lot of really great things on the docket tonight. We are making my Enchilada Verde. Last week I told you that we were going to use these funky new tortillas that I got. I normally make my enchiladas with homemade tortillas, but I realized, hi everyone, hi Lisa. I realized that making homemade tortillas is not always in favor. It's not always fun. It's a little, time consuming. So we are going to use pre-made. These are egg wrap tortillas. I got them at Smart and Final. They don't really have a flavor, and they were $4 for 6 of them. So we're going to make my enchilada verdes tonight. We are also going to make, oh, hi, Rebecca, and hi, Mendy. And we're also going to make cauliflower leek soup. So this is sort of a batch cooking night because we're not eating both of those things. But that I'm making so that we can have it later on in the week, and I thought that you guys would like to see it. And then I've got a new recipe tonight, no-bake peanut butter pie. It's pretty flippin' phenomenal. So we'll get to everything. So the first thing we're going to do is turn on our large skillet here. I make my rotisserie chicken over the weekend. I do it in my Instant Pot, and I just keep it in my fridge, and I make a bunch of different stuff with it. Sometimes I freeze it, and I add it to soups, or I add it to casseroles, or I make chicken salad with it. Hi, Susan. How are you? And so we are going to use pre-made shredded chicken. You can get a rotisserie chicken if you want. If you're really going to, get lazy, you could potentially just use canned chicken if you wanted to do that, or just boil a couple of chicken breasts, whatever you want to do. So we've got our skillet going. We're going to put just a tablespoon or so of some olive oil, and we're basically just going to soften up. I've got a half of a cup of chopped yellow onion. The recipes for everything that I'm making tonight, except for the peanut butter pie, because that's coming. The recipes are all on my website, thekelliekitchen.com, thekelliekitchen.com, Kellie with an IE. So if you want to know the recipes, then go there. The peanut butter pie recipe, as soon as I take a picture, that one will go up on the website. But I made one already, so hopefully I'm going to be able to take pictures tonight or tomorrow. And if you live nearby, I will have 2 peanut butter pies, and I would love to drop some off to you and have you test it out. It's got a really nice, we do a pinch of salt in it, so it's like a sweet, salty peanut butter pie. Really good. Hi, Bernie. How are you? Good to see you. So I've got my half of an onion just softening here a little bit. You can do, okay, so let me just show you this for a second. So these are these egg wraps. There's another brand called, I think it's called Crepini. I have it in my fridge. I don't want to get it right now. You can get them at Costco. They are a little bit thinner, so they're harder to work with. That's why I like these. They're called Egg Life. They are 1 carb. It is, the ingredients. This is the Southwest style, so it has a little bit of a cumin flavor, but there's also plain, which I have as well. So we've got our onions softening up. I've got, I just put this all in here so that I wouldn't have to dirty up any more dishes, because I know Peter does all the dishes after this. So I just have 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to mix those in here. Let's turn this down a little bit. We'll put our seasonings in just a second. So on the website, this recipe calls for kale. Not everybody likes kale. but I like kale. But tonight we're going to do this with spinach because a lot more people like spinach, and it's easier to sort of keep in your fridge as well. So we're going to add this is 5 ounces of spinach. We are just going to toss that in there. That will start wilting a bit. It looks much bigger than it actually is because that will wilt down. And I'm going to add in, I've got salt, pepper, and cumin in my little container here. And the salt will also help bring out some of the water from the spinach. So once this is all wilted down a little bit, we're going to add in just a little bit of a creaminess because we want the mixture that we're going to put inside of our tortillas to have sort of that like creamy, cheesy chicken mixture. And we're going to try and get 12. We're going to try and get 12 enchiladas into our pot here. We're also, because this is an enchilada verde, we are going to use, this is my favorite brand of salsa verde because I can read every single ingredient. And this is the roasted version, but you can get the lighter green version, and I find it at every supermarket. It's called Verde. And anyways, I found this at Pavilions or Smart and Final, and so we'll use a little bit of that as well. So let's pour in. We've got 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream. Of course, now I have to turn the heat up a little bit because it got a little too cold. And we have 4 ounces or 1/2 of a block of softened cream cheese. So as all of this stuff melts together, it will become nice and creamy. The spinach is still wilting down, and we'll let that do its thing. It'll get nice and cheesy and pulled together. I hope everybody is surviving the cold throughout the rest of the country and all the blackouts. I have a client that has chickens, and she had to lug water back and forth because the chickens' water was freezing, and just so crazy. Okay, so there is our mixture. I'm going to turn that off. So now our spinach mixture is, the spinach is completely wilted down, and all the cheese mixture is all bubbly and yummy in there. And I'm going to take my 2 cups of shredded chicken. This is 2 large breasts. It's probably a little bit more than 2 cups because I just used 2 large breasts of chicken. And the recipe on the website has all of the calculations, but basically make as many as you want. And quite frankly, you could even add, make a second dish and put it in the freezer for later. The other thing about this enchilada verde is that you don't actually have to roll them. You could lay it out like lasagna if you want. Oh, there's one of my favorite Canadians, my second favorite Canadian. Hi, Vic. How are you? Good to see you. Oh, and there's Christine. Good to see you guys. Well, it's been getting, it feels like spring is in the air here in Southern California, so I feel a little guilty for walking around barefoot outside, but I know spring is coming for the rest of you. I know it. Okay, so here's our baking dish here. I'm going to take our tortillas and I'm going to very gently, these are thicker, I think I said that, these are thicker than the crepini ones. I'm just going to spoon a little bit of the chicken spinach mixture, and then I will roll it into my baking dish. I have 2 flavors here. There's the Southwest and there's just the plain. and we're just gonna. I've eaten these before, but I've never made the enchiladas with them. So we were just gonna try them out. And quite frankly, these don't really have that much flavor, so they really take on the flavor of the enchilada. I'm sorry, yeah, of the spinach mixture. And I'm getting a little aggressive there. That's a little much. Okay. And you can really push these together and they will bake, and then you can just pull them out. I would say a serving is probably 2 of these enchiladas. Pretty low carb, that's for sure. You also have to gauge how much chicken mixture you have in there. I don't think I'm going to get all 12 in here, but maybe I will. Let's see. So this peanut butter pie, I love it because I'm going to show it to you in just a few minutes. I love it because it's no bake, and you can cut the crust amount in half if you feel like the crust is too thick. And when you cut the crust amount in half, you actually cut the carb amount way down. So consider, if you decide to make it, it's pretty easy and delicious, that's for sure. Okay, so moving along, I think I can fit 2 more in here. The rest of my chicken mixture, I will assemble that later into, maybe we'll make a single one. Okay, I'm gonna try and fit 1 more enchilada in here because they like to be all snug as a bug. See, this is the white version. It's just made of egg and egg, I think, and like xanthan gum. So they don't really have a flavor at all. They don't taste like a tortilla. So if you think that you're gonna eat this and you know, come back to me and say, but it doesn't taste like a tortilla. Well, yeah, I know it doesn't taste like a tortilla because it's just a vessel to get your enchilada to you. You want the flavor coming from the meat and the spinach and the cheese and the seasoning. And so you see how skillful I am at that? I'm gonna just go like that, and I'm gonna just turn that baby in. Okay, so I have 5, 6, 7, 8 enchiladas. Doesn't that look amazing? And we will save the rest of this chicken mixture for, there's just maybe like 1 left here. I might make that with something else a little bit later. We could just get that out of the way. So here we have our enchiladas. 1 jar of Herdez is 1.5 cups. And I, again, use the roasted tomatillo or the roasted salsa verde. And I'm just going to pour that equally over my dish here. And then I'll use a little spoon and I'll spread it out. And all those yummy chili verde flavors get right down into the enchilada. So you're just going to spread that over so it kind of touches every single one. You know, when you start eating like this, you stop, at least for me, I stop missing like the real tortillas. Like I don't need to have them. So it's like as you progress on, people are like, well, what about pizza? What about tortillas? I'm like, I don't need them because I have stuff like this to satisfy or scratch that itch, I guess you could say. So I like to use white cheddar for this dish, but the supermarket was out of white cheddar, so we were just going to use sharp cheddar. And the recipe calls for 1.5 cups. I'm going to actually probably use only about 1 cup on this. And my oven is going at 375. Recipe says 350 for 25 minutes. I'm going to do it at 375 for 15, 20 minutes because everything's already cooked in here. We just want to melt all of these gorgeous flavors together. So there's our Enchilada Verde casserole going in the oven, 375. I'm going to set that timer. Let's just set it for 15. We'll set it for 15 and just kind of see how it goes. Okay, so let's get started on our soup. This was a soup that I made several months ago, and I never put the recipe up on the website. But today, I put the recipe up on the website. So this is a low-carb cauliflower leek soup. And in honor of everybody that's freezing their little tushies off around the country, this is a great soup to have. You can keep it in the freezer, pull it out. It comes together really, really quickly. So first thing I'm going to do is, where's my, I forgot my butter. How dare I? So we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of butter. And this recipe calls for 3 leeks. The leeks at the supermarket were small, so I got 4 leeks. But basically, you just want to have your leeks. Oh, there's my butter. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so the leeks have green parts and white parts, and they get really, really gritty and dirty. So when you are prepping your leeks, you really want to wash them very, very well. And you want to use the white parts and the light green parts. As soon as you go get to darker green, it gets more woody. And leeks are just a form of an onion. So they have a really mild onion flavor. And I have 3 tablespoons of butter doing its thing. And I've got my 4 small leeks or 3 large leeks, whichever works for you. I mean, whatever the supermarket has. Someone just asked, and thank you for asking, when is the cookbook coming out? Well, I'm working on it. I have talked to 2 editors in the last 2 weeks, and I'm meeting with a writing coach tomorrow. So there's already about 70 recipes in there, and I need to add some more. I need to take out some of the desserts and add in some more of the other things. So it is in the works, and I'm hoping by end of summer that it will. It's really a lot of work. Everything is a lot of work with writing a cookbook, because it's not just writing a cookbook, it's the pictures, it's the layout, it's all that sort of stuff. So I'm working on it, and I'm curious what you guys think. You know, I go to the bookstore and kind of check out the cookbook section, and there's a lot of cookbooks that have just food on the front, and then there's some that have a person on the front, you know, like that the author is on the front. So I'm curious, do you think that I should have the cover with a picture of me cooking or with a picture of the food? I need to take a vote here, and so let me know what you guys think, because I'll have to wait for my hair to grow out for that too, but it's coming. Cookbook is definitely coming. There's a lot in the works. Okay, so our leeks are starting to really wilt down and soften. And they're nice and covered in the melted butter. We're going to add, this is 1 head of cauliflower. I just broke up the pieces, and the smaller the pieces are, the quicker the cauliflower will cook, making this soup cook even faster. even faster. So we'll give the cauliflower a little stir in with the leeks. Now, in the past, I have used xanthan gum to thicken my soups. If you don't have xanthan gum, the cauliflower really adds a nice thickness when you puree the soup. However, I've been practicing and kind of playing with this thickener. It's called glucomannan, and it's from the konjac root, and it's for half a teaspoon, it's 0 carbs because it's got 2 carbs and then 2 grams of fiber. So it's 0 carbs, and it actually gives a nicer thickness to warm things. So Susan asked if I was going to do an ebook version. At this point, I don't think I will do an ebook version of the cookbook. But as we get closer, it might be an extra add-on that is an easy thing for them to just be able to do the cookbook as an ebook. I'm kind of weird about cookbooks. I like to really feel them, look at them, and read them like they were a magazine. I don't know. I sort of fantasize about all the things that I'm going to cook. So anyways, I don't think I'll do an ebook of it. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Give that a nice stir. And then I have my my own chicken stock. When I make my rotisserie chicken in my Instant Pot, this is the most beautiful chicken stock. It's nice and thick. It's got collagen in it. It's full of flavor. And this is 4 cups of homemade chicken stock. Super, super delicious. So we'll put that in there. I have some extra here just in case we needed to cover the vegetables more, but I think we have enough coverage here because we want the soup to be thick. Now, after I puree it, if it's too thick, I may add a little bit more broth. So I'm going to keep that there. So we're going to bring this to a boil. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're going to slow it down, and we're going to add our glucomannan, which is the thickener. So we will just keep that here for a second because it's time to make our peanut butter pie. Yay! Okay, let's bring this over here. I'm on a little bit of a peanut butter kick. I made a couple dozen peanut butter cookies. Those are in my freezer, and I love them because they're still chewy, because I do a mix of erythritol and allulose. So anyways, let's see what Susan said. So Susan said it's hard to get stuff from out of the country if we were to. So for that, okay, so I think she's saying that because she would like the ebook because it's hard to get stuff shipped out of US to different countries. So if that is the case, Susan, if I don't do an ebook, then I will send you one. I promise. Okay. So the soup is going to come to a boil here. And while that's doing that, I am going to get started on our peanut butter pie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the crust. It's a chocolate crumble crust, and I've got 1/4 cup of butter. I will get that going there. I'm not going to put the lid on it yet, but I am going to, as soon as this starts to boil, I'm going to move this back so you guys can see my peanut butter pie a little bit better. Inside my peanut butter pie, put this out of the way. A lot of stuff here, my goodness. This is starting to boil a little bit, so I'm going to put my glucomannan in now and get it out of the way. So that glucomannan, that was 1½ teaspoons. You're supposed to put in about 1/2 teaspoon per every cup but I don't want it to be too thick. So that's, for now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to just bring that to a boil, and as soon as it gets to a boil, we'll move it to the back. I have, this is my 1/4 cup of melted butter. And to my melted butter, you guys see this? Yes. I am going to add, I didn't have enough containers to show everybody. I'm going to add 1½ cups of almond flour. I have not made this with coconut flour. I have not made this nut-free. Obviously, if it's a peanut butter pie, it's not something that we can alter. So sorry about that. We'll get the almond butter out of the way, and then we're going to use, this is Lecanto monk fruit sweetener. This is a granular low-carb sweetener. If you have Swerve or if you have any other erythritol blend, granular in the crust is fine. So we're going to add 1/2 cup of Lecanto monk fruit sweetener. And the reason we don't care if it's granular is because a crust is supposed to be crunchy. So, and I got these containers at the Container Store. I had a professional organizer who is my friend from grammar school, my longest friend ever, and she's a professional organizer. So she came to my house and she was like, you got to get a bunch of stuff from the Container Store. So our soup is almost starting to boil, and as soon as it does, I'm going to move it. Sorry it's taking so long. Continuing on with our crust for our peanut butter pie. I've got my almond flour, I've got my sweetener, I've got my butter, and now I've got 2 tablespoons of Hershey's unsweetened cocoa. This is, you can get this at any supermarket in the States. It's very inexpensive. And Susie asked if I could get the thickener on Amazon. And this, I actually got this on Amazon because I haven't been able to find it anywhere else. And it's sold in caplet forms, and this, I was able to get it in pure powder, so not in caplets, because it's used as a supplement, as a dietary supplement, but it's konjac root. That's what it is. So we'll get this out of the way, and we are going to take our crust, and we are going to just fluff all of those dry ingredients. I know it looks really dry right now, but we're going to fluff it all together. The butter will absorb into all of those, and it forms like an Oreo cookie crust. And no, it does not taste like Oreos. It tastes like a keto-friendly substitution. So just a second here. We're going to take our cauliflower soup, and we're going to move it out of the way so you guys can finally see. So it's nice and simmering now. So we'll just cover that up and let it do, ow, hot. We're going to let it do its thing. So this burner is off, that burner is on low, and I'm just going to move this way for you guys. Okay, so here's our, let's get these things out of the way. Here's our pie crust, our pie dish here. This is a 9.5-inch pie crust. If you would like to lessen the carbs, cut this in half. Cut the amounts in half, because this is where you're going to get a lot of the carbs. This is considered a low carb dessert because you've got lots of nuts in here, and you've got the cream cheese and the cream that we're gonna get busy on in a second. Okay, so I gotta focus here because my crust is gotta come together. I'm gonna make sure we get all that butter from the bottom, and then we just pour that in here. This is something that the kids can help with because it's super, super easy to do. This is something that you can make well in advance. If you're going to a party, it's great for summer because it's frozen. I'm just going to give my hands a little wash. So here is our crust. We're going to very gently, and you know, there's nothing fancy about this. Just make sure it gets all the way up to the sides of your pie dish. And then we will flatten out the bottom. And this is going to be our base for our peanut butter pie. How did that happen so fast? That is our enchiladas. Okay, let's check on them. Has it already been 15 minutes? God, I'm so fast. Okay, those look good. We're going to go just a few more minutes on them, and then we're going to turn the broiler on and get them nice and bubbly and delicious on top. Okay, so again, you're just going to very gently, but this is not fancy stuff here, you guys. It's kind of like Play-Doh, I guess. And then we'll just make sure that the entire bottom of our pie crust is covered. All right, now here's a little trick I do. I take the bottom of my measuring cup, and I just press it so that it's nice and even. It doesn't have my fingerprints all over the bottom. Look at that. And because this is a no bake, you can either set this off to the side while we do the next step, or you can already put it into the freezer to start getting it to freeze, but it's going to go into the freezer anyways. And this is looking really good. Now, I have to tell you guys, I make desserts all the time, but to live a keto life, I can't eat these things all the time because there is the carb creep. So you have to watch out for that. And I make these things because it's really fun and they're delicious. And I love taking pictures of them, but I don't eat them all the time. Okay. So there is our chocolate cookie crust. I'm going to put that in my freezer off to the side just while we're doing our next step. So fun. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do, the first thing we're going to do, let's get all this stuff out of the way. I'm such a mess. My goodness. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our, the filling is two parts. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a whipped cream. I'm not going to do it on the stove because this is hot or this is warm. So I'm just going to show you. I have a cup of heavy whipping cream. And I am going to add, because we're not baking this and we don't want to have the crunch of the sugar alcohols, because when the sugar alcohols chill, they recrystallize. So in the filling part, we're going to use stevia and we're going to use allulose. So we'll get to the allulose in a second, but for the whipped cream part, we're going to add stevia and we're going to add vanilla. And this is just going to give it just a touch of sweetness. I literally just wrote this recipe today. So we're going to do 10 drops of stevia and a teaspoon of vanilla with our cup of cream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. And we'll do a half of a teaspoon of vanilla. Use really good vanilla. This was very expensive, but I've had it for a while because you just need a little bit of it. Just a touch. So that's a half of a teaspoon. I'll get that out of the way. Make sure I put a lid on it so it doesn't fall over. And then we're gonna, I hope you can hear me over this. So this part of the making the whipped cream, you want to form really stiff peas. You want a really thick whipped cream because we're gonna a block of cream cheese. It's been softened. I've got a cup of natural peanut butter. I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And I have some allulose. And again, allulose is going to melt into the mixture and it will be crunchy. If you don't have allulose, you can use erythritol or erythritol blend, but it must be powdered, okay? You have to use powdered or else it will get crunchy. Oh, our whipped cream is coming together. Ah. Sorry, I gotta take a break, because guess what? Our enchiladas are done. All right. So now I'm gonna go 2 minutes on broil so that we can get the top nice and bubbly and delicious. So our whipped cream is getting nice. And stiff. And I'll show you how stiff. Look at how stiff that whipped cream is. You see? Very, very, very stiff. Okay. So, don't fall. I'm going to take the enchiladas out now because I don't want them to burn. And they're looking mighty delish. Oh, so good. My friends, from all over the world, there are my low-carb enchilada verde. Put some cilantro on those. God, those look really pretty. I might not be waiting for dinner. Sorry, Peter. But wow, look at how pretty those are our enchilada verde in low-carb wraps. So there's our enchiladas, super keto friendly and very, very delicious. Moving on. Okay, so we have our whipped cream here. We're gonna mix together. We're gonna mix together the sweetener, the peanut butter. I like to use Laura Scudder's all natural peanut butter. It's just peanuts and salt, and it's oil separated, and I like to bring it to room temperature when I'm doing these things. Just makes it easier to blend everything together. And then I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. So mix that in. And then also, you guys need to know that allulose is only about 70% as sweet as sugar and erythritol. And some people actually would prefer that because erythritol has almost too sweet to it. So allulose is a really good option for that because then it's less of the cooling effect. But because it's not as sweet, I add a little bit of stevia to counterbalance and to add back the sweetness without the bulk. So I'm going to add 10 drops of stevia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And we are going to blend all this together. And this is why it's really important for the peanut butter and the cream cheese to be room temperature so that they blend nicely together. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. There you go. Yeah? Okay. I just want to make sure I get all of the peanut butter mixture off of my blender. Let's get that out of the way. So the last part of this, or the second to last part of this, I don't want to do it on this because I don't want to heat this stuff up. So I'm going to scrape down the bowl, and you have sort of this like peanut butter, almost looks like dough. We're going to add half of our whipped cream mixture. So we're going to fold it in. And so you're going to learn what folded in means. If anybody knows my reference, my comedy reference, give me a shout out, because it was one of our favorite comedy scenes. So I'm going to add half of the whipped cream into the peanut butter mixture, and I'm going to fold it in. We're going to give the peanut butter mixture, it gives it an airiness and a lightness. And we're just going to blend it through until it's completely blended. You don't want to over mix this. That's why you don't want to use the blender for it. It's pretty forgiving, so don't feel like you have to baby it, but it's better to do it with a rubber spatula than to do it with a hand mixer. All right, the next thing we're going to do, because our peanut butter pie is almost ready, and I'm just going to show you what this looks like mixed together. So mixed together, we've got a lighter peanut butter mixture, and it's almost like fluffier. So check it out. We will take our chocolate cookie crust. Super easy, you guys. Super, super easy. And we're going to just plop. That's a real word, by the way. We're going to plop our peanut butter mixture right inside of there. I like to add a pinch of salt. I forgot to do that when I was mixing, so we're going to add it now. It adds sort of like a sweet, salty mixture, sweet, salty, and it's just a little pinch, because you have enough sweetness in the rest of the pie. So then you just take your rubber spatula. Can you guys see this? So good. And you're going to put this in the freezer, and it's going to freeze for at least an hour, preferably overnight. The other thing about using allulose as opposed to swerve or erythritol is that when you freeze erythritol, it becomes rock hard. So allulose is a better option for that, because it doesn't freeze like erythritol does. Okay, so let's just get all of our yummy peanut butter. There we go. So that's our yummy, yummy, yummy peanut butter. This is what, put that there for right now. That's what it looks like to start. Now, the next step is doing the whipped cream. If you want to get fancy and do like, use a piping bag, you can do whipped cream around the edges of this. I like to just smooth it right on top. So you take the final half of the whipped cream mixture, and you're going to just smooth it right on top. You can get as fancy as you want. I kind of like this sort of farmhouse look. I'm calling it farmhouse look, but it's really just sort of like a rustic, sloppy look, because I don't have a piping bag, and I don't want to dirty another thing. Okay. Yeah, super good. Okay. So here is our peanut butter pie. You have two options. You can be fancy like me and get a Lily's chocolate bar and a little cheese grater and sprinkled chocolate shavings over the top. Whoops. you can do nothing, and you don't have to put chocolate on top at all. You could put chocolate chips on top. Or you can save a little bit of the cookie crust, the cookie crumble, before you put it into the pie dish, and then after it comes out of the freezer, you can crumble some, or you can crumble it before you put it in the freezer. But there, my friends, is our peanut butter pie. And because this is the magic of television, of video, I already made one. So this one is, you can tell that the peanut butter is nice and hard. I'm not going to cut this because I need to take pictures of it. I'm so sorry. But if you live near me, if you're in Los Angeles or in Santa Monica, let me know because you can have some of this. I will make sure that you get some peanut butter pie because I'm going to need to get this out of my freezer soon. Okay, so there we go. I think that'll probably stay. Okay, last step, you guys. We're gonna puree our soup. You guys know how I love my stick blender, my immersion blender. It broke. It broke last week. I was so sad. So I got a new one. And they're only $25. I think it was $27. I had Amazon deliver it. It was here in one day. And I actually like this one better. It's by Hamilton Beach. And it has a pretty long cord. There's no safety button here. So I actually prefer that because with my other one, I had to use two hands while I was doing that. Here, my friends, is our, I keep looking at my hair because I'm growing this thing out and it's sort of at that weird stage. So don't think I keep looking at myself because of that. I'm looking at myself because I'm trying to fix this hair situation. Okay, so our cauliflower, you want to make sure that it is fork tender. Nice. Okay. So we're going to keep that on for a little bit longer. But while it's on low, I'm going to blend. Oh, this is going to be a very nice soup. It's got a ton of flavor. And I'm loving my new. Now, you can leave it a little bit chunky like this, or you can fully puree it. I think we'll leave it chunky like this. It looks really good. Okay, let's give it a taste. I'm going to give it a taste. I don't think it needs any salt, but we're going to see. And this will get saved for lunch tomorrow, and I'm going to put some in the freezer so that we have a little bit extra for next time. I'll put them in the freezer so that I don't have to make dinner a night later this week or whatever. So there is our soup. It's got a nice chunky. You can puree it even more. You can remove it and you can blend it in the blender if you want. I prefer not to do that because hot liquid explodes in a blender. But let's just taste this. See if I need any salt. Perfect. So my chicken stock that I make at home tends to be a little bit saltier because that's what I make my rotisserie chicken in. So the recipe calls for salt, and I added salt. You saw that during the recipe. But just check for salt taste and see if it's enough for you. So let's recap. I am super excited. We're going to have a delicious dinner tonight. We have our chicken enchilada verde. This recipe is on the website, thekellykitchen.com. Go there and check it out and print out the recipe and do whatever. I've got our cauliflower leek soup. That recipe's on there too. And we have our peanut butter, no bake peanut butter pie. So that is it for tonight. It was so great seeing everybody. It's the soup. Somebody just asked how many carbs for the soup. So if you do, you know, it depends on how much the serving is. So I say that this is about 10 servings. That's somewhere between a half a cup and a full cup. You know, just kind of depends on how big your ladle is and how big your cups are. But it's 7 grams total carbs. So it's 5 grams net carbs for this soup. So I think that's a pretty good carb count. Not bad. And we'll have a salad with this, and it'll be really sort of filling and lovely. So anyways, thank you guys so much for coming and seeing me. And if you have any ideas or suggestions for recipes to make next week, let me know. And I will see you next week. Okay, bye guys.